Hi everyone, today we're going to meet Garrett Fern, Senior Game Designer for Intrepid Studios. I keep trying to say Leaf Garrett, but that's a completely different person. And we're going to watch two really cool videos that you don't want to miss. One is the making of, and then the other one is kind of like a real-time demo of it. So let me get out of here, and then we can start the show. Do you want me to send Jeff back in here?
Well, we're not bringing Jeff back over here. We actually have Garrett. So I don't know if you want to talk a little bit about who you are, what you do on our team.
Garrett.
Hey,
how
Steven.
you doing, buddy?
I'm doing well.
Good.
My name is Garrett Fern. I am a senior game designer. My main focus is on combat, but of course we wear lots of hats.
Yeah.
So I help out when needed, wherever I can. One of the areas I was most excited to work on was data analysis.
Yeah, which is something like you really do need. I think a lot of the times when you're making these decisions as a designer, you want to make sure that you have numbers to back them up. And I think watching, like for instance, like heat maps or things of that sort really do help a ton.
It's super helpful.
Yeah.
It helps us identify the weapons that are too powerful, the abilities that are too powerful, or the converse of that, right?
There
when
might
things
be
are not
some that
powerful
people
enough.
play tested in Apocalypse that were like, I got so many words.
I think one of the cool things, Garrett, about the purview of your tasks is that we're putting, oftentimes in MMORPGs, and I know you play MMOs, it is PvP feels like an afterthought. From a balance standpoint, it doesn't feel that it fits well into the world.
And I think sometimes they even separate them, right?
Right, absolutely. Yeah. And that's a way to accommodate the fact that they didn't spend the time necessary early on.
Yeah.
But part of what Ashes of Creation is all about is that PvX dynamic, in the sense that these things are meant to be congruent with each other. They're meant to be coherent with each other, right? And a lot of your tasks setting up for Alpha 1 and the MMORPG is taking design data and logs that we have available from APOC testing and early testing, and incorporating those types of balance decisions into the Alpha 1 preparation.
Absolutely true. And that's a really important thing, right? Is we've learned so much about action, melee, action, ranged combat as the result of APOC that will then immediately carry over into our designs for Ashes.
And I think a lot of people who have played those types of combat situations, you always see the situation where like melee just feels not as good sometimes as like the range, or
it can wind up feeling, and we certainly had this problem early on, which is why we went back and sort of revisited what your character is doing while you're engaged in a melee attack, right? It can feel very floaty. And so we've, I think, done a really good job of sort of taking a step back. I think early on we sort of thought about it from the MMO perspective first, which is why the attacks are very stationary. Right. And through the course of APOC, we realized that if we were going to accomplish this action combat style, we needed to adopt a different philosophy for, in particular, melee attacks.
Because we look at other MMOs and how they do things, and it's not the same as if we want this type of I think interesting hybrid combat that's different than from other combat.
Yeah, we set out to be different, and so we have to do different things to accomplish that.
Yeah, totally. So you have some things for us, which I'm really excited to show.
Yeah.
The first thing is, well, everyone likes explosions and destruction, so talk a little bit about
so
what we're going to watch.
Obviously, destruction is a huge part of both APOC and Ashes, and it should look good.
Right, absolutely.
So our particle artist, Jim, has been working on making destruction of props in particular look amazing. Right. So here's what it looks like.
And the important thing, and we can talk over this.
Yeah, we can talk over this.
The important thing about this type of destruction and these effects that you're seeing is that not just in APOC where we want a completely destructible environment, but also in the MMORPG when it comes to dungeons and traversing certain areas. We want destruction to be a very core element of how players make their way through the world. And that's something, that I haven't seen as prevalent outside of like castle sieges in an MMO. We want to kind of make the environment a little bit more lifelike in that sense.
Yep.
So what is this the 45-second one?
Yeah, it doesn't have the music, so he originally sent this over and it had this hilarious music going on.
But then we wouldn't be able to talk over it.
Well, also copyright, but imagine that. Or I'm sure someone in the community will clip that and put it with some amazing music. But,
so that's just kind of like shows you guys the range of destructibility that we want to see, not just in individual meshes, but also this kind of collection of of vases and boxes and whatnot together. Again, this is going to be a big part of the MMO experience as well, is an interactable environment that is destructible.
Yeah, especially when you think about like sieges and those type of things, or even, you know,
the big ones
attacking
to me is like
someone's
dungeons, like going through dungeons and
yeah.
having obstructions that are in the way that need to be destroyed. You know, those will play an element in actually traversing the dungeon. That's going to be a fun component.
Yeah,
I'd like to destroy all the pots and get all the gold.
Yeah, particularly if there's like synergy with that environmental object and specific classes,
Exactly.
right?
Ooh, yeah, I like that. So yeah, I think that's one of the things that you wanted to show, and then you also have been working on a lot of abilities. Some really fun stuff,
yeah. So we're gonna have a lot of classes in Ashes. I don't want to say a number because I've been told never to talk about specifics on stream.
No, they know. We have 64 classes. They know.
It's not coming out of my mouth.
He's afraid.
Because I don't want to get Garrett doesn't know all the things that we've revealed.
Oh, I know.
So he's just like, I'm going to tread this minefield carefully.
I know they know. I just don't want this to be clipped.
Right.
And then we have to cut back.
Yes.
And Garrett said the number.
Yes.
I almost slipped right there. Yeah. So the design team is kind of in two modes right now, right? Some of us are sort of like finishing up polish on APOC, and then another portion of the team is working on just prototyping abilities after abilities after abilities, because we know that we're going to need a huge pool to pull from. So the sooner we get started, the better.
Yeah.
And that's really what it boils down
Let's
to.
kind of like check these out, and you can walk us through what we're watching here.
Oh, what do we have here?
Yeah, so we got I think super. Oh no, this is the.
So this is an APOC. I think this is showing kind of the. Is this a projectile?
This is a projectile change. Basically, collision and players have different sphere checks.
Right.
So that when you're shooting a player that is sort of in line with this pillar, for example, the projectile will pass the pillar but hit the player.
Right. That's just kind of the greater finesse that we're giving projectiles between the collision.
Yeah, and we're just showing the environment. We're just using this environment as an example, but we could plop this into any.
This is a super jump, right?
This is super jump. So super jump it's a charged ability. The longer you charge it, the more it costs, and the higher and further you'll jump. And you can see there that you can actually redeploy the Griffin.
And this is an ability that we're playing with for the APOC modes, which will allow players a greater traversal. You know, the animation there is prototype, and the UI you see on screen to designate the charge ability is also prototype.
Yeah, this is still very much a prototype and an experiment that
They're kind
we wanted to experiment.
Stuff, right?
We wanted to experiment with different types of world traversal, see how they feel. See how they impact gameplay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I think especially when you think about an MMO and how large scale that is, you have to think about space and how far you're going to get fast.
Yep.
Not necessarily that you're going to be able to fly everywhere or anything like that. So
yeah, I mean, just thinking off the top of my head, like this could be a mechanic for a specific class, and maybe that's how they somehow aid their party or their raid group. Like they can jump up there, do something, while the rest of the team stays, on the ground.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I definitely would be surprised if every class in the MMO could do this.
I would hope not.
Absolutely.
But yeah, so I don't know if you want to talk about anything else that your team has been working on. I know you guys have an extensive amount of things that you have been doing and working on, and you actually got a couple new people to your team.
Yes, we got a couple new people, Brian and Terrence, who have been kicking butt, for sure.
And JR.
And JR, right.
JR.
Yeah, they're all doing great work.
Yeah, and you'll get to see pictures of them, and they'll be up on our team page when we put out our creative director's letter, because they were hired in that quarter. So, yeah.
Yeah, hopefully next time one of them will be up here.
Yeah! I don't think everyone wants to, but we're going to try to get more faces out here soon.
I understand. When I first started doing this, it's a very nerve-wracking experience, but now that I've done it several times at my previous job, it's a little bit easier.
Oh, yeah.
I remember the first time I sat in front of a camera like that. Like, I just...
Froze.
I don't even know if it was froze. I couldn't get my heartbeat down.
Oh, no.
And I'm just like sitting there trembling. Although I gotta say...
I hope we make you feel comfortable.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I feel totally fine up here. One thing I will say is... I do want to confirm that we love our engineers.
Yes.
And also, Mark is definitely smarter than me because he went with the hoodie, and I went with the one layer polo shirt.
It gets cold.
It gets cold in here.
So I have my sweater because
Hey, it feels good.
Steven, you like it really cold.
I do like it very
so
cold.
cold. The rest of us are all like,
Yeah, no doubt.
well, thank you so much.
Thank you so
Garrett,
much for having me.
Thank you, Garrett.
And
Thank
I
you.
know the community loves all the work that you all have been working on, and they can't wait to see more of it. So
Thank you.
Thank you for
We
sharing.
love and appreciate our community.
Well, what did you guys think about the destruction? I think Steven's going to have to test that out on actual gamers before he puts it in the final game, because I think he's underestimating how satisfying it is to knock stuff down. I played a game like that before, and I didn't even care about shooting the opponent. I didn't even go to the front lines. I stayed behind just to knock stuff down. I'm thinking 2 hours after we land on Vera, the entire planet is going to look like a post-apocalyptic wasteland. I think you need to test that out on players and see what's going to happen. I think eventually maybe he'll just have to turn destruction on when a node is attacked and turn it off at the rest of the time. Otherwise, it's going to look like a wasteland. Well, that was the show for today. Our next Twitchcast show is about Michael Bacon. Everybody loves bacon, even vegetarians like me. Thanks for watching.